Hi, welcome to the third module. I think all of you are right now very eager to know or learn what is Hadoop, because we told that from next series onwards we will go and walk through the Hadoop. But anyhow, before going into the Hadoop, now there are some important topics which we are supposed to cover. So in today's series, now we will be basically covering three important topics. One is about the data. I think already in our first series we have discussed a lot of things about data, big data. The second topic will be discussing the storage and analysis, because when we are talking about big data, we should know how to store, what are the problems we are going to face, and why the Hadoop is a very good answer for us, why this big data technology Hadoop is so important when we talk of big data with respect to the analysis and with respect to the storage part, and of course the comparison with the other systems like say RDBMS, which also we have few things we have discussed in our previous concepts. Okay, so anyhow, let us start with our first topic today, that is the data. As we all know that we are in the world of data, or in the technology wherein which the data is playing a very important role thing. So if you look into the total amount of the electronic data which has been generated, so if you see that it is around 0.18 zettabyte, it was in 2006, and if you look into the trends which is going by 2011, it is 1.8 zettabyte of data, and by right now it has even increased a lot, right? So when we are saying that such a huge amount of data, so when we are saying that right now we are like say in 2011 the statistics is saying that, but right now in 2020 so this figure nowhere it stands, it has crossed a huge amount of in terms of zettabyte. Now when you look into this zettabyte of data, now one zettabyte is equivalent to 1021 is 1021 bytes, which is of exabyte. That means 1 million petabytes, or we can say 1 billion terabytes of data. So that means such a huge amount of data is being generated from the human beings, or we can say from the other devices. Now when we try to see some of the various examples which you have already seen, so few examples, the New York Stock Exchange or the Facebook, also we have discussed about the Facebook. We have like say Ancestry.com, which is a genealogic site which stores around 2.5 petabytes of the data, or other examples are there in from where the huge amount of data is being generated. And this data what we are discussing, which is being generated in an exponential fashion, so right from the individual, so each individual are also trying to generate the data. Like say for example, if you remember yourself, the first smartphone which you have brought, the first day how much data was there, and today how much data is there. So we know that at the end of the day we keep on taking our mobile phone, keep on deleting the data. Like say for example for WhatsApp, so one messages, if any one of your friend is sending one message, another one will select that message and put one thumb impression, and the other friend will say that, oh, he has put only one thumb, right, image, one high, I will put two highs. See that each time the same messages, you keep on putting lot of images, the data is generally it is growing. As an individual itself we are trying to see that our data is growing, but now you just imagine the amount of data generated by other machines. Like say the amount of the data generated by the machines are much higher than what as an individual we try to generate the data. Like say there are a lot of machine locks will be there, RFID reader, sensor network, GPS. Now when you try to take your mobile phone and try to clear all the data, you see that so many data is stored by your browser, by your WhatsApp, by your GPS trackers, transactions what you are trying to do. So the machines the data are much higher than what as an individual we are trying to grow it. And also the volume of data, the amount of data which is available publicly right now is increasing a lot, because whenever we say that the data organization is no longer its own data. So if I am working in an organization, so the data what is not only within the organization, it is put in the public domain also. We have so many websites are there where the public a lot of data sets are available. We see that the amount of data in the public domain is also increasing a lot. So that's what we say that the data is growing in an exponential fashion. Now when we say that such a huge amount of data is growing, then how to write the algorithm? So because we discussed in the previous semester in the design and analysis of the data, as the data increases, therefore we were discussing about the efficiency of the algorithm, right? So when the data keeps on increasing, what happens to our algorithm? What happens to the efficiency of our algorithm? Now when we are talking of a big data, huge data, how the algorithm we are supposed to write? How we have to analyze such a huge amount of the data, right? That was a big question, but the answer to that is we have got the storage, we have the big data, and for doing the processing that we have another answer, that is our Hadoop. So how it tries to do with all these things. So the next topic, what this is all about the huge amount of the data which we have even discussed. Again we discussed here because in the third module also it is coming. So now we'll look into the storage. We'll put some highlights about how it has been stored and how it has been analyzed, because whenever we talk of storing of the storage of the data, we have our hard disk, right? Now in hard disk we try to store the data. Now when we look into the storage capacity of the hard disk, now it has increased drastically with overs, because right now if you go to the market to purchase one normal system or a laptop, the normal level or the size of a hard disk which you are going to get is 1 terabyte. So less than TB you don't get any system, because the market, the trend is that minimum configuration is 1 TB of hard disk you are going to get. So over past year the storage capacity has increased, right? Now when you are talking about the access speed, that is the rate at which the data can be read from the drive, storage capacity has increased, but the access speed is very less. So what do you mean by access speed? Now when you consider a hard disk which is round in circle, we have a read-write head on that. So the amount of time required for this read-write head to go, and the rate at which the data transfer from a particular sector, now we call it as access speed. Now even though the storage capacity is increases, the access speed is very less compared to that. So like say for example, if you take a typical drive in the 90s, and if you say that it could store about 1370 megabytes of data, and what was the transfer rate? That is the rate at which the data transfer from that disk, right? So if the data transfer rate was 4.4 MB per second, 4.4 MB per second. So in this particular calculations, if you try to read, if you want to read this 1370 megabyte of the data, it would have taken you 5 minutes of time. So in 5 minutes, with this transfer rate of 4.4 MB, you can read 1370 megabytes of data in 5 minutes from this particular hard disk, which is very old hard disk. Now if you take an hard disk which is of 1 terabyte, when the transfer speed is of 100 MB. So okay, compared to this 4.4 MB of transfer speed, now we have got a transfer speed is 100 MB, but the capacity, now the storage capacity has gone to how much? It has gone to 1 terabyte. Now with this thing, with 1 terabyte of drive and a transfer rate of 100 MB, if you want to read the complete 1 terabyte of data, it will take you more than 2.5 hours, right? Now you can just practically you can see that from your laptop which has got 1 terabyte of data, if you want to transfer it to some other place from one drive to another drive, it will take hours together to read all that data. So what we want to trying to analyze or understand here is that even though the storage capacity has increased drastically over the years, but the access speed, the rate is not increased up to that particular level. So that becomes one of the big problem for us, because you are going to store huge amount of the data, right? So and we want to analyze that particular data also. So we need huge amount of time to store all these drives in all the data in a single drive, or we can storing it becomes very easy, slower. So if the storing capacity that is there, the another aspect is that reading. So if you want to read the data with such a transfer rate, and if you are going to take 2 hours 3 hours to read 1 terabyte of data, but when we are talking of huge amount of data in picobyte, zettabyte, just imagine how much time you need just to read the data. And writing is still slower. You can't think of writing such a huge amount of the data. So now what is the solution we are having, right? So what is the solution we are trying to have? So one of the best solution we can see is that instead of storing the data in a single drive, we can store it in multiple disks. It's one thing, right? So it's very simple thing. Instead of storing all these data in one computer, why can't I store this in different systems? So when I break down my 1 terabyte of data into parts, right, and I keep one part into one pieces of the data or the data sets in one system. So instead of in order to reduce this time to read the data or storing the data, is that now you try to store it in multiple disks at a time. So when you store it in a multiple disk, that is when you are going to work in a parallel. So now what we said that 1 terabyte of data, so to read which would have taken 2 hours, now under 2 minutes you can read the data if you are storing that in a different 100 machine instead of storing it in one drive. So that's what we say. So if you imagine that you have got 100 drives and each holding 1/100th of the data, 1 by 100, 1/100th of the data, if it is storing, then obviously the amount of time required for us to access that particular data becomes very less. So instead of one machine, now we are going in different machines, so distributed environment. So parallelly we are going to process, right? That's what we say that Hadoop, why Hadoop is very popular, because it has got a distributed environment. So a few problems when we find that you store the data in multiple devices. Now we are going to have some problem, right? The first problem what we will be facing is the hardware failure, right? So when you one pieces of data, or let us say that you have huge amount of data which has to be analyzed, and this huge amount of data you have collected from one organization. Now in order to reduce time for reading and writing on the drives, now what we have planned, we planned that okay, we don't keep it in one drive, we will keep it in 100 drives, 100 clusters, right? 100 nodes or 100 machines. Instead of keeping it in one particular machine, all this data of the huge amount of the data, because storing is takes long time, reading also takes writing also takes long time. So what we have planned right now, instead of putting it in one system, we will divide it and distribute it into different computers, so that this huge amount of data is divided and placed in or stored in different system. Now when you are storing it in different system, one important problem which we have to address is that hardware failure. What happens now? So assume that we have stored it in the 5 drives, right? One huge amount of data we have divided and stored it in the 5 drives. Now out of this 5 drive, if one drive is corrupt, now what happens to the data which is stored in this drive? We have lost, right? Hardware failure. So we have to address this. Of course in these 4 drives the data is there, but complete data is not there. Some pieces of data is in 5th drive also, but if that particular drive fails, now what we are supposed to do? So that's what one of the biggest challenges what was faced when we talk of storing it in multiple or parallel, or you can say distributed environment, is what we have to do if one disk is failure happens in one particular disk. So now the solution given for that was the replication. So one of the common way in which we can avoid the data loss is by replicating the data. This is what the very important point or the feature what Hadoop is going to do it. Replication of the data means redundant copy of the data. Right now you are not going to keep one copy of the data, but you will be keeping redundant copies of the data. So you will be keeping more copies of the data. Now here you will get a question saying that, sir, in our RDBMS we were discussing till now that you should not keep redundant So because when you are talking about RDBMS, their first class or initially you will be learning is that we have to remove redundancy, we have to apply Boy's code rule, normal form, blah blah blah. You have got 12 normal forms which you are supposed to apply, and always see that there should not be redundancy of data. This is what you have studied right now, but now completely we are shifting that paradigm from our RDBMS and we are going for our Hadoop. So here what we say, because if you store the data in so many systems, if one system is been corrupt, hardware failure happens, you are going to lose the data. So to overcome this, so don't store this data in only one disk. That means the information or the data which was kept in this particular machine, if this machine is not working, this data is present in some other machine also. So we can say that the data is not completely gone. The copy of the data is not been lost at all. The copy of the data is present in somewhere else. We have duplicated the data. Right? So replication means it is nothing but we are going to keep the duplication of the data. We make duplicate copy. This is how the RAID is going to work. That is redundant array of independent disk. So you might have read that in operating system. The same fashion is used by our Hadoop file system. So one of the important component which I have already discussed in Hadoop is HDFS, distributed file system. We call it as Hadoop distributed file system. So in this Hadoop HDFS, now we are going to have a copy of the data. How we do it, all those things we will be discussing in our later classes, right? So okay, now we have addressed one important problem. Hardware failure happens if the system corrupts, so we say that our data is lost. But now we have a solution. We won't say that okay, data is not lost, because we are keeping a duplicate copy. We have made one duplicate copy. If the original is lost also, no need to worry, we have a duplicate copy. Again we can use that particular data. So okay, this problem is solved. The next important problem is it comes with respect to the analysis. Right now, analysis task. Let us say, for example, now I want to give some task to the entire class. So 50 students are there in my class, right? Now what I do is that, now let us say that I have got huge amount of records to be sorted. I want to sort, so much of records are there, but as an individual I can't sort. So what I give is that a huge amount of records, I divide it into 10 records and I give it to 50 students. I have given the data set to all the 50 students, so I'm saying that, so I have copied it into all the students. Storage has been done, right? In distributed fashion I have done. The next question is, now today, so already the data is stored. Now I want to do the analysis. Now if I want to do the analysis of this, I need the data from all 50 students, right? So now I come to the class and I say that okay, now I want to do the analysis of this data. I start collecting the data from first student. So I collect the data from one, I collect the data from the second student, right? I am going to fetch the data, read the data, because I have to do the analysis. When I want to do the analysis, I need a complete data set, and complete data set is not stored in one machine, it is stored in distributed machines. Now when I start asking the data, now what is the answer I am going to get? If I ask one particular student, sir, I am absent, sir, bandila, right? So there are so many students out of 50 students who are keeping my data set, and if I want to do an analysis, now I see that one student is missing. One student has not come to the class. Then where to get the data from him? Because if I don't have that piece of data, I don't have complete information, right? So when we want to do the analysis, now we have to see that you have to combine all the data, right? So the data read from one disk may need some information combined with the another data of the another information. That's also is possible. So in a very simple term I have tried to explain, because the data which is needed by one machine, so to get the answer I may need some data which is present with this machine, right? So if I want to come to a conclusion based on analyzing this particular data, I need the data present from this machine. He also should be present in the class. If he is absent, I can't do anything, I can't go further, right? So now another important problem which when doing analysis is you are going to combine the data. Now we want to combine all the data for doing the analysis. Now this is what the map reduce part. So Hadoop provides a very reliable shared storage access and analysis system. That's what taken care by the another component of the Hadoop called as the MapReduce. Okay, we will be discussing in detail this interesting topic. So when we because when we say that you want to combine all the data, again there are certain issues which has to be addressed. We will be discussing all those things in that and the next units further. So right now, one is the hardware failure, the second one is combining the data. These are the two problems which has to be addressed, and both the problems has been very beautifully addressed by our Hadoop. That's why now we are going to look into the Hadoop, or we will be learning about the Hadoop. So this is the second topic we have seen. So the how we are going to store and do it. The third important topic what we will be covering in the today's session is the comparison with the other system. Again, this is the same topic which we have discussed in the previous module. So when you are talking of when you are talking of MapReduce, so we will be talking about our Hadoop. Now when you take Hadoop, it has both HDFS and MapReduce. These are the two important components right now. So one is the HDFS, Hadoop Distributed File System. The second one is the MapReduce. So comparison means, as a Hadoop means both comes. So when you're talking of MapReduce, now MapReduce is a batch query processor. So it does the task in batches. It won't do individually. It does in batches. Batch wise it is going to do it. So when you look into the with respect to the other systems, now we see that the MapReduce is there which does it in batch. Now when you compare to the other systems, now it won't do it in a batch way. Some of the examples who are using this MapReduce for the processing is being given, like the mail trust and Rackspace mail divisions. These are using the Hadoop for processing their email logs, etc. Okay. So even the when you're talking about this difference between the RDBMS or the traditional database system what we are having and the MapReduce or the HDFS what we are going to talk. So we know already, we have defined what is an RDBMS. It is a relational database management system which stores the data in tables. That means structured data. Only it will be talking of structured data. So we have got structured query language in order to process all the data which is stored in rows and columns or a tuple. You have to study it, and you might have studied all those, so that in the DBMS normalization they should not be redundant copy, etc. Now whereas on the other hand, our Hadoop, the MapReduce is an algorithm or the component of Hadoop, that is MapReduce. It has been developed, the concept was been developed by the Google, so which has become mainly the important part of our Hadoop framework. Now which process the huge amount of the data. Here we are not talking about only structured data, we talk of unstructured data also. That is another these are the difference what we are going to look at, compare between our RDBMS and the MapReduce. I think in the previous video session we have discussed a lot about the comparison regarding the different thing. Anyhow, again we'll be discussing. So why can't we, when we are talking of RDBMS, why can't we store huge amount of data there also, right? That is what because we discussed that storing huge amount was a problem. Why can't we store it in a RDBMS? Why can't we work with batch processing in a RDBMS? So why we need MapReduce only? So here the seek time and the transfer time is very important when we try to store. So what is that seek time? Seek time is improving. So compared to a transfer time, the seek time is very slow. So seeking time is nothing but the read write head on your hard disk. So if you remember the diagram of a hard disk what you have studied in your previous semester, we will be having one read write head. Now that read write head he is going to move it. So the time taken by the read write head to exactly come to that particular sector, we call it as a seek time. How much time it takes, because the disk will be rotating and your read write head has to exactly come on that particular sector in order to read or write the data into that particular sector. So that seek time is improving but slow compared to our transfer time. That is the throughput of our disk. So this is a very big problem for us. So that is why we are going to store the data in a a distributed environment. Even when you are going to combine the data also, we are going to address all these issues. So now another important thing is with respect to the traditional RDBMS is that they use the traditional B trees. It is one of the data structure through which fastly you can work when you are going to do the comparison. Whereas B trees are less efficient than the MapReduce. Right, in MapReduce we will be having key and value pair, and anyhow we'll be discussing it later on how the MapReduce is more efficient than the B trees what is available in the traditional RDBMS systems. Now this diagram, the table clearly identifies, I think many of the things we might have already discussed between the Hadoop and what is the MapReduce, right? Sorry, RDBMS and the Hadoop or the MapReduce. When it comes to the, I think, various features, data variety, we have seen that RDBMS supports only structured data, where we here in our Hadoop any type of data we can store the data and we can process the data. When it comes to data storage, huge amount, Hadoop can handle very huge amount of the data. That is another advantage. When it comes to the read, that is the speed. Now here we say, so in RDBMS reading is very fast, right? So we store it in one machine, whereas here also we say that reading and writing is also very fast in our Hadoop, even though we try to store it in a distributed environment. Scalability, RDBMS is vertical scale up, whereas in Hadoop is horizontal scale down, right? We have discussed this scale up and scale down in the previous thing. Hardware, so RDBMS use high-end servers, whereas Hadoop uses commodity hardware. Now this is a new term for us. What do you mean by commodity hardware? Now commodity hardwares are nothing but these are very low budgeted, or we can say a low configuration system. So when we want to store the data, or when we are working on Hadoop, what it says that you don't need extra hi-fi servers, or we can say very costly servers is not required for us. So we can manage the entire HDFS with commodity hardware. So commodity hardware means it is an low budgeted, low configuration, normal computers which we are going to use in our day-to-day life. So even with that particular system, so we can completely set up our HDFS setup and we can work with Hadoop, like not like our RDBMS or traditional database where we say that we need a very fast machine, we need a very high server which is very costly for us. So in the cost wise also Hadoop is very cheap when we want to implement this technology. When it comes to the throughput, so again, as we have discussed, that RDBMS is very good in throughput, because if you want to read one particular query, or we want to fetch a simple data, now the data is present in one machine, it is very fast to us, whereas in Hadoop throughput is slow for us because it takes time. It works on batch, right? It works on batch operating system. Data is not present in one system, it might be present in various systems in our cluster, so we don't know in which system it is there. So little bit throughput is very less compared to our traditional we can say Hadoop. Now when the access, when you look into the access, so RDBMS is an interactive, whereas the our MapReduce is completely batch processing. So here completely it works in a batch, it is not an interactive, right? Storage part, as we have said in previously, huge amount we can store. Now updates, now we have already discussed in our previous system that RDBMS or traditional database, now it is online transaction processing, whereas our Hadoop is an online analytical processing. Now what it means is that in RDBMS you can read and write many times, right? So you can keep on reading the data, you can write the data instantaneously, or you can say online, the very transaction like say financial transaction where you have to update it every second. You want to update the data, you want to store the data, you might be deleting the data. So in that examples, in that scenario, our RDBMS is very fast. Now whereas in Hadoop we say that the logo, what we can say, or the term what we can say is you are going to write once but read many times. Once you store the data in your HDFS, then you can read it many number of times. So and the other things like the structure wise and integrity is very low in RDBMS, is very high. So integrity, that's what we have discussed, the ACID property, right? We have no ACID property in our RDBMS. Non-redundancy, right? We don't keep any duplicate data, whereas in the Hadoop it is very low. We are going to keep the duplicate data because we know that if the hardware is gone, if the data is been lost. So why the data is going to lose in our HDFS? Because we are using commodity hardware. So commodity hardware, so it is a very low configuration machine. We don't need high machine. So when you are using very small amount of the machine, when you are going to use a machine which is very costly, which is very less, then chances of that machine to failure is more. So since the chances of the machine is more, so you don't keep one copy, you keep duplicate copy. So one data has been lost, one copy of the data has been lost, we have another copy. So when you have got redundancy, when the replication you are using in Hadoop, obviously integrity is low. It is low. And scaling wise also non-linear, that is scale up what we told, whereas in our Hadoop it is linear. So this is the three important topic what we have covered in this particular session. So that which is our data, about the entire data, and we talked about something called as the storage and how to store and how to analyze this huge amount of the data, and the comparison of these things with the traditional RDBMS. So we will be winding up this particular session with these three important topics. So in the next session, now we will be looking into, so when we are talking about say storing the data in distributed environment, are there any other technology which is similar to this? That is the next question. That is what we will be discussing in our next series. So because when we say that data has been stored distributedly, so we have some other technologies also is available for us. Then why should we go for MapReduce? Why should we go for HDFS or Hadoop? Say for example, we have grid computing. Now what is grid computing? It is also one kind of a distributed environment. So when we have grid, so why we need Hadoop? So that's what we will be discussing in our next class. So we will be talking about the concept called as grid computing. We will be talking about volunteer computing, how they do, how those technologies trying to work with a distributed environment, and why we prefer Hadoop compared to those particular technologies, and we will look into the entire history of the Hadoop. So those things will be very interesting topics we will be covering in our next session. So till then, take care, be safe.